Welcome everybody. We are here today with another expert talk. Today with an expert who comes directly from Germany, today in our office here in Tokyo. And we are very happy to welcome Mr. Carsten Gerhardt from Circular Valley. Welcome. So maybe some of our viewers who might not know you, could you maybe briefly introduce yourself and explain what Circular Valley is?
Thank you very much, Kawakubo-san. I'm very pleased to be here. Yes, my name is Carsten Gerhardt and I'm the chairman of the Circular Valley Foundation. Circular Valley is intended to be the Silicon Valley of the circular economy. So basically a hotspot where all people who are really enthusiastic about circular economy can meet and develop solutions for a more circular future together.
It sounds exciting. And I think when Japanese companies and people think of Germany, the topic of sustainability really is very prominent. On the other hand, I think you experience that in Germany as well. In the moment we go through a sort of crisis of sustainability, because many people feel that sustainability as a concept has lost its momentum. Many people see it as a little bit expensive or bureaucratic, and it's even politically very decisive. So in your view, why is sustainability in crisis today? Is this mainly due to costs or credibility or communication or something else?
First of all, I would agree that it is in some kind of crisis, but the crisis perhaps is not because it has gotten less important, but it has been overshadowed by other topics. So, for example, in Europe and in particular in Germany, there is the topic of defense. Post the Ukraine conflict and all the other geopolitical tensions which we sense all over the world, we realized that we didn't invest enough into defense. And so defense investments are now many orders of magnitude higher than what we have planned for sustainability. And so the money now flows into defense, and that is why the attention also goes to defense. But nevertheless, all these sustainability topics, which we have been talking about until 2020, until 2021, they still exist and they will continue to exist. So it is still there, but there is another more dominant challenge or threat hovering over us.
So other topics are like more at the forefront of interest
at this point in time. And I'm pretty sure there will be a renaissance of sustainability topics because more and more you can put them into an economic context now. So that is perhaps the difference. It is not purely a environmental topic anymore, and I trust we will come to that in our conversation.
Yeah, like you pointed out, I think for companies nowadays, there are like lots of different topics to think about. They are under pressure from inflation, from increasing energy costs, also geopolitical uncertainties. So what do you think is the strongest argument towards companies to nevertheless invest in sustainability right now?
So amidst all of the geopolitical challenges that we have, more and more the topic of resilience emerges, and we sense how dependent we are, especially economies like Japan or Europe, who are resource scarce and who are very much dependent on imports. So now we realize how dependent we are and how we have become, especially also in the light of Chinese and Indian dominance, which is getting ever stronger. So resilience and independence are more important now. And topics like sustainability, in particular circular economy, so keeping material in the loop, are ways out of that resilience threat which we experience.
I think also resilience comes up a lot when I talk to Japanese companies. However, when I talk about sustainable technologies, there's often a little bit of a doubt whether they're actually profitable. So maybe you can share from your experience, what are some fields in sustainability and also maybe some concrete business models or areas where you see a real business case where, of course, resilience and the contribution to the environment is there, but at the end of the day, I think companies are looking at the economic bottom line also. And especially for Japanese companies who want to invest maybe in NRW or in Germany, what would be your top areas to recommend as a profitable, sustainable business model?
All in all, here I see five main areas. And three of those are governed by regulation. So maybe I kick it off with the ones who are driven by regulation. First of all, that is the whole field of critical raw materials. We do have the Critical Raw Materials Act in Europe for a couple of years now, and it will come into full force in 2030. So at that point in time, there will be mandatory recycling quotas for many critical materials. And that is a huge business opportunity, because if you have regulation, you have clarity, you can really rely that the market will develop. And if I take one particular example in that field, it is the area of phosphorus recycling from sewage sludge.
Okay.
So we are very much aware in Europe that we don't have phosphorus, so we need to import all of that. But it is in our wastewater, so getting it out of that is a topic that, for example, in Germany will be mandatory as of 29, so which is only 3 years from now.
Oh wow!
And that is 1.5 million cubic meter of sewage sludge that will be addressed. So that is a big topic, and it is only one of many where we are seeking to recover material which is already in use. The second topic of great interest, I think, is CO2 capturing, because we are having the European emission trading scheme, which is mandatory for large industries already, but which will now be followed by a ETS scheme number 2, which also addresses smaller businesses. So lots of opportunity to capture CO2 and to optimally make use of that later on. But this capturing is a huge opportunity, because it will be in so many smaller businesses. So far, it was only for businesses which had a couple of 10,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year. Okay. Now it's also for the smaller ones, and so that is an area to go into. The third area, which is governed by regulation, is the whole packaging area. We are having the PPWR, the packaging waste regulation, which will come into full force as of 2030. So this is only 4 years from now. And there is a lot of contact-sensitive packaging material that can only reach its recycling quotas if we do chemical recycling. So not only what we are doing today, the mechanical recycling, but breaking down the polymer chains to the base monomers and rebuilding them. This is a technology which will become very widespread and which will need huge investments, because there is no other alternative to meet the mandatory recycling quotas in that field. So that is 3 areas from regulation. Then there is an industry which Japan and Germany in particular are very strong in, or have been traditionally very strong in, and that is automotive. Again, here we are super challenged by Chinese and Indian producers. So in that field again, I trust that keeping materials in the loop is a huge opportunity to keep that core industry of ours. And so making automotive electric and making it circular is a key challenge, but also a key opportunity. And finally, there is a topic which we take great interest in at Circular Valley, and that is the topic of agro-photovoltaics, which is basically photovoltaic panels which are mounted high enough so that you can do agriculture below it. And there is the great benefit of producing energy and at the same time using the land below it. As of now, the business case is challenging because the mounting system is pretty expensive. The panels themselves have become more and more cheap over the past decades. We had a super big price decrease, but the mounting system as such is still super expensive. So if we manage to bring down the cost of that, then agro-photovoltaics can become widespread, and PV is the cheapest form of energy that we can have. You can see that in China these days. In the last year alone, China installed more photovoltaic capacity than Europe has done in the past 30 years. That's what they did in 1 year. So this is a key trend, which again, obviously, currently is overshadowed by all the developments around the oil industry, but that is progress and future and cannot be stopped. So making use of ag PV is the 5th field, which I would personally invest in.
Sounds like there are like lots of opportunities. Because you mentioned regulation, do you think that German companies actually prepare for that already? Because it sounds like the deadline's actually quite short, right? Or on the other hand, it sounds also like there might be an opportunity to jump on this with new technologies because it will be needed very medium term, right?
Absolutely. And as to the preparedness, I would say many regulations have been known for years. Take phosphorus recycling, for example. In Germany, the regulation was announced in 2017, so almost 10 years ago, and it will come into effect in 3 years. Not a lot has been done so far because there seems to be a natural tendency in people to say, oh, wait, let's postpone that for a while, and maybe the regulation itself will be postponed. So while it has been known for a long time, I would say in many areas the preparedness is rather low. Also in the PPWR, Packaging Waste Directive. So that has been known. But now, this August, it is coming into effect, and many companies are not really aware of that.
Okay, so on the other hand, a great opportunity, if you jump in with the right technology. Very interesting. Now, you're usually in Germany, but you've been to Japan many, many times, and I'm also interested in hearing your impression of how those two countries compare. Because Germany and Japan, on the one hand side, have a lot of similarities, right? We are both highly industrialized, we have resource-poor economies, and a strong manufacturing tradition. So where do you see maybe similarities as well as differences in how companies approach sustainability?
So you very nicely pointed out the similarities, which I would like to underline. So both highly industrialized and both have been and still are very strong export nations. So the business model of Japan and Germany is quite similar. Import raw materials, manufacture something of higher value, export it, and keep a part of the value added for yourself. So that has worked very well for the past 150 years. But now this business model has come under pressure because if you look at the development of China and India over the last 2 decades, it is so mind-blowing how those economies have grown. For example, both India and China only 30 years back were at the same level of Japan and Germany, or even below it. Now, India is like 3 times higher than our two nations are in terms of purchase power adjusted GDP, and China is even 7 times higher. So severely challenged business model. That is what we have in common. But at the same time, we have in common that we did always develop innovative solutions in the past. Not always managed to materialize them, but we were at the development forefront, and I think that is where we still are very strong. I see good opportunities, in particular if there is strong exchange and collaboration between partners who are facing similar challenges. A big difference I would see in the culture. I am always super impressed by the Japanese culture of really being mindful of resources, being mindful of things, and you can see it everywhere. You can see it in the streets. You can see how tidy this country is. Well, great congratulations on how that is done. That is an area where I think we in Europe, and in particular in Germany, can learn a lot. If it's possible to transfer those cultural insights that are here to us, that would be super beneficial.
Definitely. Well, my impression is that in Japan, sustainability is often linked to resource security, stable supply chains, and, as you also mentioned, long-term resilience. Do you think this kind of economic security angle could make sustainability more attractive to companies, also in Germany and Europe, than the traditional approach of maybe idealism or climate or ESG narrative?
Absolutely. And it is so fascinating how we really can identify the point in time where that changed. So until 2020, until 2021, the focus was totally on the environmental aspects. In Europe, we had the Green Deal, the Circular Economy Action Plan, so many narratives around the green. And then COVID struck, and suddenly supply chains were disrupted, and we felt all the dependency that had been
Mm-hmm.
developed through multilateralism, through free trade, and so forth. And so it was very much in 2020 when we first realized there is a challenge, and with the geopolitical tensions in the wake of the Ukraine conflict rising, we again experienced that. So I would say since 2020, 2021, we realized that resilience is much more the topic of interest than green or environmental benefit. Environmental benefit is an add-on. It's an additional side effect of the resilience topic.
So a good nice to have.
It's a nice set. It's a freebie.
Yes.
You get it for free. If you are resilient and independent, you will also be environmentally friendly. This is fantastic. This is completely new narrative and economic way to address it.
Sounds really attractive. So thank you so much for your insights. Before we finish, can you maybe shortly give our viewers a insight of how Circular Valley could help them to maybe approach the German or the NRW market? Like, if I was a Japanese company with some sustainable technology, how can Circular Valley help me to maybe get the foot into the door?
Since its inception in 2020, Circular Valley has developed into a big network of Central European companies, but also beyond that. There is 150 companies and institutional partners that are coming together in Circular Valley, working jointly on projects, and we can open this ecosystem, so we give access to the company partners, to the scientific partners, and obviously we invite Japanese companies to come to our major events. There is 2 per year. One is the Circular Valley Forum. That is a big convention in November where 1,200 people from all of our community get together more to discuss and exchange. And additionally, there is the Circular Valley Convention, which is in spring each year, where you can also showcase what you have and exchange beyond industry borders. So that is inroads we provide with the bigger events, and individually. So if there is a particular topic of interest where Japanese companies would like to be connected to our ecosystem in Nordrhein-Westfalen, but also in Belgium and in the Netherlands, our neighboring countries, we are super happy to provide that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So for all our viewers, if you're interested, we're going to post the contact details of Circular Valley here below the video, and please feel free to get in touch. Thank you so much for viewing today, and thank you so much to our speaker, and see you next time. 皆さん、ヨーロッパ、またドイツとのビジネスのやり方についてもっと勉強したくないですか？インターネットでいろんなことが調べることができますけれども、最新情報が知りたければぜひチャンネル登録お願いします。